Hey guys, it's lycheepunnet here. I'm here with Pres, and we've got a special guest on today who plays Symphogear. His name is, I'll let him introduce himself.
My name is Laveyrin. I'm part of El Prez's playgroup, and I do play a lot of Symphogear.
He plays a lot of Symphogear. And of course, we have Pres, like we mentioned.
Yep, I'm always here.
Um, so, again, we're just going to quickly talk about what we do and why we do it. It's another set review. This is the first time we've done a set review with so many old boosters to go with. Dog Days was kind of two extra boosters, didn't really count, so this might be a bit longer than our other ones. But again, we'll be using our system, which goes, our rating system, which goes from good down to bad. I'll quickly explain what they are. It'll be linked in the show notes. Good is a card that you start in a deck list, you play 3 to 4 of because you think it's really good, you want to draw multiples. Then it goes down to playable, which is a bunch of cards that you put in the deck because they're all right, you don't mind playing them, and they're better than the alternative. We've got niche, which is like a subset of cards which you need to work around, or that you might not be able to play, but someone else will be able to play because it's playstyle dependent. And finally, we have bad cards, which are actively bad cards or entirely outclassed cards, which have no, they just don't have a reason to be in a deck. And if you play them, you should reconsider it because they're just not good cards. Of course, these are subjective ratings. They reflect each of our opinions, and you may be different. But again, we do these because we play this game competitively, and we think this is a good guide to anyone who might be trying to start this set. So without further ado, I think we can probably launch in.
Alrighty, I already have
So
the first
first
card written
card,
up.
yep. So Gavin Miracle Hibiki. It's a 1/0 double R, 4/5 power. If you've got 3 or more other music characters, it gains 1k power, and then it has the ability, when the battle opponent of this is reversed, if Gungnir again is in the climax zone, you may search your library for a music character and add it to your hand. So Gungnir again is a shot climax, which puts this card at 6/5 when it reverses something ignoring supports.
So my first impressions is that they saw Mikon from Two Lover and said, "Hey, this is a good card. Let's reprint it," and then forgot that the reason why Mikon was really, really good was because of the random power gain you got from a 1/1 back row.
Yeah.
And then they decided to attach the music trait tax and up the rarity to double R while changing none of the effects.
Yeah,
Also, there's the part where Mikan is good because she can combo with a stock soul if you want a stock soul,
yeah.
and
She is modal. She has options.
this card is profoundly average for this archetype, but let's not forget that this archetype by itself is already extremely strong.
Yeah, honestly, even though I say all this, like it's still a good card. I don't know if this is my favorite level 1 card. I think one of the overall trends for Symphogear GX is that its level 1 game has always been, or in this set that I've noticed, its level 1 game is like profoundly mediocre, especially when it comes to climax combo.
Symphogear in general at level 1 has not been very well rounded in terms of keeping field. It had, back in set 1 during the earlier times, it had a decent, combo with like Kanade Tsubasa, or if you ran like a mono Chris deck, the climax combo gave you like a 8k wall on your opponent's turn.
So like,
I don't even think this is my favorite yellow level one from the set.
I don't think it's my favorite level 1 from the set either. Yellow.
I think this is a good card, and it's probably better than the old Horizon Spear Maria. Maria? I think it was Maria. In terms of level 1 plus in combos, simply because it's costless.
I do agree in that it's better than Horizon Spirit because it's costless, and I have personally had some success with this, but there are just, with the power creep in general, you have a lot of missed opportunities because it's very difficult to get her very high.
It's very difficult to play this card appropriately because one of the big power barriers that everyone's been putting up is bigger than 6/5 because that's how big Girlfriend Beta is, and that's what a lot of people seem to like and play.
Yeah, I think
And since this is also 6/5, that's not good for this
I
card.
think one of the benchmarks for plussing like when you need to reverse at level 1 right now, you're looking to be 7k or bigger. Because 7K is usually what the walls are looking to be putting up if they're
Oh,
costless.
7.5 is what the walls, costless walls are about.
Yeah, so
So
it's
you won't
really
need
hard to
obviously
get over
8K.
that with these effects, anyways. So
Yeah, I also don't think there's a great way to pump power in Symphogear without on multiple rows at any rate. So you're going to be stuck with at least one row at 6.5 if you play multiples.
Yeah, there's a few ways to pump power, but they're not very efficient and eat up slots in the deck.
Mm,
You know, but you're going to have a couple, 500, from 500 supports from back row, and that's so she can be 7.5 like in center, and left and right are going to be around 7K. Can
but the issue, yeah,
be 7.5
it,
if you do the like the old 0/0 Subasa that's tap two characters, give a character plus a level plus 500. So you can
mm,
boost a little bit, but it's not by a large margin.
hmm.
those power
So
numbers still aren't very big. Like they're well within counter range for the vast majority of decks, like Guilty Crown, Nisekoi, even Talavru and Girlfriend Beta easily counter those numbers.
it
So I don't know
basically
how
any
well
set that
placed
has a
this is.
decent 1/0 counter is going to foil this card's plans every time.
Yeah.
You don't even need a decent 1-0 counter, you just need a vanilla 1-0 counter and some decent power.
Yep. I
Yeah,
mean, like
So,
we are talking about a lot of the weaknesses of the profile, but this is the general weaknesses for the profile. Like, is the card still good? Yes. I mean, if you hit level 1 first, you get the free pluses that you so righteously deserve for playing this archetype, right?
yeah, I'm putting this card as good, even though I think it is a card that you need to be a little ahead to win with. And by head, I mean you need the game under your control rather than your opponent having hit level 1 first and established their wall.
I'm giving it a good rating too. I still think it's a good card. It has a lot of weaknesses, but that's weaknesses associated to the archetype as a whole, and the archetype is
Mm.
still free pluses. And I
The only reason the weaknesses have even come up is because the archetype is so strong and people are actively
exactly
trying to counter it.
so I
So
think
this is just a worse version of Kokomi, but
yes.
yeah. The climax is pretty good as well right now. Shot climaxes are quite strong.
Yes.
the climax is good. I basically just view this as in a lot of ways just a worse. It's slightly going to be stronger than like a field of Shimikazes, because like Shimikaze is Alpha 2K1. I would rather have this be Alpha 2K1 because it's. I feel you don't really drop too many of this card down unless your opponent just literally has actual,
I
zeros
don't
on the
think
field.
I don't think Shimikaze is very well placed at the moment simply because everyone else is playing Global Soul at level 1. So this being on a Global Soul climax, I think is definitely necessary for it to be anything more than just a mediocre card. Like if you just wanted advantage, you could easily play the old Horizon Spear Maria, which now has a PR gate to go with its climax combo. But I think that this card it's there to facilitate a free soul rush. Even if you do only play one of this Hibiki down, you pay one, effectively cantrip selectively, and then get a +1 soul on everything, which is the real value here.
Yeah, that basically just as long as you play one and succeed with one, you can't trick the climax,
Yeah.
which is fine.
Which is fine because then you get free soul basically.
Yeah, you get the free soul. Okay.
Regardless, do you have a rating on this card?
I also will call it good.
Yeah,
It is the
not
freest
quite.
engine for plussing in Symphogear without, burning stock, which
Absolutely.
the set has a
Yeah,
problem with.
Yep.
yeah. It's definitely pretty stock heavy. So we can move on to the next card, which is a 3/2 Hibiki, Magical Words. It's a heal, so it comes to play and heals one. And when this attacks, if Glorious Break, the Wind climax, is in the climax zone, all of your music characters gain 2k, and this card gains the ability to ping one when damage is cancelled. Only this card, nothing else. Calm down. It's also got the recollection of every music trait level 3 in this set, where if you don't have the Ignite module event in your memory, this card will die at the end of your battle phase. Your old horse deck, basically.
Yeah, that condition's as fake as Pendants in Memory.
It's not actually, because Ignite module is not so widespread and doesn't have enough of a payoff to make it such a ubiquitous 4 of. A lot of
This
people
is
I
true.
know
You
are
won't be running
yeah.
4 of it as you
Yeah,
would
you won't be.
in
A lot of people
as
I
it
know
would
are
be in
only running
Pendants.
2 of this event and maybe one of the bonds, because the events, while good, they aren't like They aren't enabling a 3/2/10/5 cantrip that comes down whenever you want
Yeah,
it
this
at
is true.
level 2.
I still think the condition's kind of fake. I don't think requiring a thing in memory is very real condition most of the time. And
Not in Weiss, it's not.
plus because at level 3 you've had a lot of time to get there as well. And honestly, like sometimes I think it would be like the correct play to not use the event if you were playing this card, drop it and lose it, just so you can't get like it clock kicked in the following turn or something.
Absolutely, yeah. But
So like it's not actually a real downside even in the situations where you can't get the ignite modules depending on what deck you're playing against.
that's a really good point that people just don't realize. I also want to clear something up so I don't have to address it later, or we don't have to address it later. If you summon a level 3 from this set, or any level 3, with the 2/1 advanced summon events, you will get every benefit that the card has when it says when this is placed from hand to stage, because you are placing a card from hand to stage.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just want to say that here so we don't have any confusion. There was some confusion in foreign about whether cards got things when you use the event to advance some of them. They do because you're playing it from placing it from hand to stage.
It is relevant though based
Yeah.
on which version of the event you're running, because some of them do grab specific cards or cards from waiting room instead, and those
I really
are
don't think anyone's running those events.
no, you're
anymore.
not running
No
those
one's running
events
those
because
events.
they're worse than the ones in this version for sure.
The only one that people might still be running, well, the only two are the set one, Chris and Tsubasa events. And the Chris one is green, so that's bad. And the Tsubasa one is a 2 cost and is just not great.
It's actually not bad still. Like you could
It's
still
fine, but
it's
if you're
fine.
running that Tsubasa, you're running it for the two draw 2 drop 1.
This
Like
is
if you
true.
want to heal,
If you're running the old Tsubasa, you're running it for the early play capability because it's the event also runs happens to be a healer.
Yep.
correct. I guess that's true, but I'm not sure whether I'd rather just 2/1 summon the set 2 for heal or just play Hibiki to heal, because it seems better.
Well, yeah, it all depends on the deck build and if they want to.
Hibiki is far and away the easiest to summon, though, if you've got that magazine promo.
What's the magazine promo do?
Come and play +1k +1 level.
Ah, I see.
So it's a free level 2 that you
Yeah,
get to
yeah.
bounce back. Anyway, this card itself, I think, is fine. I don't think you have the climax room to play it.
I'm inclined to agree. I also just think it's not as good, personally, as the set 2 Hibiki.
Oh no, but see, it's an option because
It is an
Nidango subs
alternative.
anything.
It is an alternative. The set 2 Hibiki has like different upsides. It is hexproof, which is super relevant right now.
That's the only real upside it has.
That's
This one heals,
that's the
that one's
real
hex-
upside. This one
and
heals,
this
that
one's
one's
also-
hexproof.
Yeah, they're both
But-
11k.
But this one's tied to a climax combo, and that one is tied to only coming in play. So like theoretically, you could get more than one shot with this, or you can't necessarily with the other one.
Yeah, you can just play another event.
Bounce it back to hand, and then you can put it right back into play.
Precisely. Yeah.
Like actually though,
The
No,
only
that's exactly
real
what you do.
advantage to playing this card is its form as a healer, I feel. And then, with the set, there's many other healers that are just straight better than this card.
I agree completely, but I don't think any of the other healers have Hibiki in the name, which is why I think that if you're running what I think is the best advanced summon event, the Gungnir one, then this card should be included simply because it's an advanced summoned 11k heal.
I guess it really depends on the deck form. If you actually
Absolutely, yeah.
want to have healers
Absolutely.
in the deck, because some people just forego healers depending on the deck's aggressiveness.
yeah. Although these days, like healing is much better than it was like a year
One of the
ago.
top decks is Index, and Index does nothing except heal, so healing's pretty good right now.
It does fake salvage.
That's true. But nobody capitalizes on beating that fake salvage anyway, so it doesn't matter.
But that said, like this card is still good to me. I still think it's a very solid overall card. It's not like a build around me card in the sense that like I don't think this is like a pillar of your deck, but I wouldn't.
I can't actually say this is a good card because I don't want to start this card. If I include it, it's because I'm playing the set 2 Hibiki Advanced Summon and I want a healing option.
Sure.
So I can only call this playable, unfortunately.
I think I would also go with playable because it wouldn't be my number one go-to option for healing, even if I was playing the Gungnir events.
Really,
But if
I think this is definitely better than the set one Hibiki.
well, it's certainly better than set one Hibiki. I'm just saying, just because I'm playing the Gungnir event wouldn't mean I would, value this healer over other cards depending on the deck's composition.
Well, that's fair. I just feel like having one of the healer with any of the Gungnir in the set is your window to basically getting a 3-cost heal too.
That's pretty solid. 3-cost heal 2 is an acceptable amount of healing.
It's fine, because healing 1 is not nearly as relevant as healing 2, I feel.
Yeah.
But like I said, I only think this is playable. There are some cute things you can do with it, but it's definitely not something you'd start in your deck, I don't think. Except in Mono Hibiki, but even Mono Hibiki has a lot of competition.
Well, in Mono Hibiki, you're definitely running this because it's just straight better than the first healer. You'd probably just run some combination of 3 to 4 of this, and then 3.
I think it's matchup dependent, depending on how easily they're able to remove your cards. But regardless, it's not really, not really a topic of discussion for this cast.
Of course.
Sure. So we'll move on. Next card is Miku, Understanding Hibiki. It's a 00500. It bonds to Hibiki Fight to Protect, and also gives that same card 1000 power.
Already, so it's apples.
Yep, I go with apples.
It is exactly apples. And Hibiki Fight to Protect, which is in 2 cards, will cover. I think we can probably just cover it right now, actually. Can
Yeah,
you skip
I'm
to
just
the
going to skip
Yeah.
to it, because there's no reason to look at these cards alone.
Yeah, this card is great. I think it's severely underrated. People underrate apples severely, even when they say it's really good, because apples is more than just good. This isn't quite as good as apples, but it's pretty decent.
It's 500. Okay, so it's kind of funny. I like this combo a lot. I like this. I think this would actually be my go-to level 1 game if I was building Symphogear at this point. Being 9k on offense is pretty sizable. It basically means that any deck that isn't red or dot deck is probably going to lose to your character. And with counters, or with a climax, they're even going to have to pop counters to protect their characters, even if they are red or dot deck. So, very big on the offense. 7k on defense is a little bit lackluster. I don't remember if this set got the conditionless 102k counter.
No, it does not have
No,
that.
it does not. It has 1/5s, but
Okay.
I don't think that's really that big a deal, because one of the strengths of apples and this is even when they kill your
You get it back.
6k, you get it back. Yes. The fact that this card is effectively 8k to 9k on play makes it extremely good. It's reminiscent of Railgun, and Railgun's level 1 game was very strong. And I think this is what I would play if I were to build any yellow-centric Symphogear.
It's. I think personally, maybe the odd opinion, but I think this is actually better than original Kyoko apples, just because it's even with Modica, on the defense, it doesn't really matter anymore with the way power creep has happened. Usually, Sayaka's just run over very easily, and this has a more offensive,
Yeah, no,
ability
that's
to
fair.
take out the field.
I think
Apples is good because apples heals.
yes, I guess because of Sayaka's
In
wish.
a vacuum, if we ignore Sayaka's Wish, this card is almost certainly better than apples in the current competitive climate, because 9k beats over a lot of things that 7.5, no, I mean that 7k 7.5
It's 7.5.
absolutely won't. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think when you ignore Sayaka's wish, this is much better in my mind.
I don't think that much better, but it's
I
better.
think losing the 500 power isn't that relevant when 7k is the benchmark to stop the newfangled climax combo with 1k1 reversing effects. It shuts out 2 Lover Mekon in at least 1 lane, most likely 2. It shuts out Blue Friends, and it shuts out the Hibiki from this set. So it's big enough on defense, costless wise, that those cards don't have to work to get over you. And then on top of that, being bondable means that even if you do lose it, they killed it. That means you're probably gonna be able to get the immediate run back. You're probably gonna be able to bond back to it and just try to kill it again. Kill the thing that killed your Hibiki.
This will
I
also
just think,
probably-
yeah.
This will also play
Go
your
for it.
number one target to for the Gungnir change.
Will it?
Yes,
Is it?
because you can use the blue brainstormer to give it +1 level.
Or the yellow 0/0, or the 0/0
Yeah,
blue.
lots of options.
There's a lot of ways to give this thing +1 level for free.
That's fair, I guess.
So
This is
yeah,
just a very accessible card.
it's
I
also
think it matches up really, really well against a lot of the quote-unquote top decks. It beats Guilty Crown's level 1, it beats Nisekai's level 1 very badly. It beats Girlfriend Beta. It just gets way over them and forces them to 1-for-1 you, and if they counter, then okay, who cares? Just bond it back.
yeah.
It's just a very well-placed set of cards, and it should be more expensive than it currently is. I think Yute still has the inferior Kokomi at like 1980 or whatever, and this card is depressingly cheap. Like it's 100 yen for the bond and 150 for the 1-0, and the SR is only 580. So get on them if you value a bond-based level 1 game.
I've personally noticed that, semi recently with like Yute, that prices of anything below double R is despairingly low unless it reads it's a Ricky clone.
I
Also
agree
runners.
completely. And runners, yeah.
And runner, sure.
Like, but Yute is just really bad at valuing cards. Like they have the level 3 Tsubasa at nearly double the price. No, more. No, nearly double the price of the 0/0 double R, and that's got to be incorrect.
Yeah, it is.
I'm giving this
Anyway.
card a good. I'd almost be tempted to give it meta, but I don't think this really. It to an extent it is a build around me card. You're dedicating 8 slots of your deck minimum to just this.
I don't think it's good meta because when you look at Symphogear, you don't think, "Wow, there's a superior apples in the set. I'm going to play Symphogear." You think it's more like,
You're thinking
"Well, I
2/1
guess I
change
bought into
events.
Symphogear." Yeah, it's like, no, I bought into Symphogear. What's my best level 1? Oh, this might be my best level 1, so I give it good. It's not meta. It's
For
just
me, it's
good.
I'm tempted to give it good, but I don't think it gets. Or sorry, I'm tempted to give it meta, but I don't think it gets the meta. It's definitely good though. This is like my go-to level 1 option, looking through the set.
Hmm.
I certainly give it good. I think it is my favorite level 1 they printed in this set.
It's definitely the best yellow level 1 in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't even think you I don't think you actually run the Shimakaze clone in more than like a 2 of.
I thought we
Kind of
were
like how
gonna.
Nisekoi doesn't do that.
Are we gonna call them Mikon clones now because to lover?
But this is just a
I think it's more
Kokomi
fair
clones?
to call it a Mekon clone just because it's just an actual carbon copy of Mekon.
I suppose that's true, but
Hey man,
well,
the condition
whatever.
is technically harder on Mikon.
Is
Sure.
it? No,
Mikon
it's
requires
not.
full
It's
field.
harder. No, it doesn't. It requires none of your characters be
Well, it requires all of your characters be on trait, which means you cannot like
which is
randomly
easy.
splash for
Whereas
another character.
this you need 3 or more music, which is actually harder.
Yes. Well, depends. It does mean that you basically have to
Look,
have a full heal.
just because Janky Tulavru won Nats doesn't actually mean that that's a harder requirement, okay?
I haven't actually seen that build yet, and someone was saying it's animal, or I mean it's aliens.
It's animal alien based level 1 red, and it's red, like it used the 1-0 memo bomb to pull out the 1-1 nut. What am I saying? Let's move on to the next card.
Back to
So
4.
go back. Yep. So this is an auto scorer. It gets the niche by default. It is a Ricky for auto scorer characters. Alchemist characters. Sorry.
It's niche.
It's a good niche card.
Oh, it's a great niche card. It's not the exact Ricky effect. It's the one reversed version, which is a little bit worse.
It's also not the exact Ricky effect because 1, it goes to memory, compressing you a little, and 2, you can get any alchemist instead of any level 1 or lower. Though, if you're ever using this effect, it's usually to get a level 1 or lower anyway,
Yeah.
Yes.
because there's no resonance or anything in this set.
Yeah. So, good card in that deck. You will probably run 4 of it because you're playing alchemy.
I dislike the idea of having 4 because I don't want my memory searcher to punch me in the face.
That is the unfortunate part, actually,
I
that
would
you
run
can't
3.
just send it to memory.
I'll definitely run 3. I don't want to
I actually
play more than one of these, really.
I actually wish the effect read something more along the lines of pay 1, send this to memory. When this card is reversed, you may pay cost. If you do, you may clock yourself and search your deck for a.
Yeah, that would be nicer if it sent itself to memory, and then you
Yeah,
could
yeah,
choose
yeah.
to.
So basically, take out the cost.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You
so
move
it
it
was
from
just a
cost into the
one
effect.
cost. Yeah,
that's the
if you had the
drawback.
modal ability of pay one, send to memory, then that would really be strong.
That's the main drawback of the entire alchemy deck is that you get to play this nice Carol early for seemingly a cheap cost, but every one of these little things that goes in memory costs you stock ahead of time.
Yep.
Opportunities.
Hello? I think he's breaking up.
Am I?
No, not you.
Someone is breaking up.
It is. It is. I believe it's Moon
Me.
Man here.
Yeah, I'm breaking up because thanks, Abbott. Go on without me if I start breaking up, but I'll keep talking, and if you can hear me, then you can hear me.
Alrighty then. Moving on to number 6.
Uh, oh, it's this card. It's a 1155 Miku. Scenery while heading to school. Gains 500 per other music character, and it's a clock encore. So it's a 7/5 clock encore.
It's pretty vanilla.
It's okay.
It's basically
I'm-
vanilla in the current meta. I mean, this card would have been like amazing if it was.
It would have
printed
been pretty
GG.
busted, like if it was printed 2 years ago. Yes, but like right now, it's like, eh.
Yeah, 'cause this is an upgraded version of the card she got in G, where it was a 1165 hand encore. Which is like insanely vanilla at that
That's
time.
even more vanilla. It's actually vanilla.
Yeah.
It literally just got the extra text.
This card is just. Yeah.
It's playable. I don't think I would play it, but it's definitely playable.
If this set had a overstated level 1 counter, I think I would consider one or two copies of this card.
This card is pretty good alongside your bonded hibikis, I guess, but I still wouldn't run more than one of it.
Yeah.
Because there are some series that you just don't need to play this against. And the series that you do need to play this against, well, I don't even think this is
I don't
better
think there's
than
a
1-0.
series that you would play this that you would need to play this against. Like when it comes down to it, like you're playing a yellow deck, you're probably gonna lose on defense
That
anyways.
yeah.
Might as well
no,
just kill their
you've got
dude.
You've got 107 case.
Well-
You're not going to lose on defense.
Hey, you absolutely could.
Well, you could, but not on every row.
Hashtag index.
This card is like index. That's its game plan, to lose on every row.
To lose on every row.
Yes, and then kill all of their rows again. You raise a good point. I think the main issue with this card is there's nothing I want to beat while using this.
Yeah, there's nothing that this beats that I couldn't beat for free.
Yeah, like,
And like
sure, it's advantage, but
in the worst case, right? This is the worst case you can think of. You lose that 1-0, right? And you bond it back and then you play it again. You still only paid the 1 stock.
The only thing you really play this for is
I
because
really
Yellow
don't want
didn't
this to
really
be
have
bad.
access to Clock Encore. So
I'm still saying it's playable. I think it's largely outclassed by the Hibiki, and it's only
I mean,
playable.
I don't think you even need. I don't think you need clock up all that badly.
The only reason why this is
Am I
like,
breaking up then?
nah, you're good.
Go on.
The only reason why I think like this card is playable versus bad is because there are times where you don't have the bonder in your hand and you need to maintain field somehow. And
No,
if you
don't be
have,
silly. You always have Apple's Bond in your hand.
if you
And
play
t-
4 copies of it, of course, yes.
and
you'll-
two on field always.
No, you only have one. Then they run over your apples, and you bond it back and kill them. I don't think this card. I have it as playable in these ratings, but after talking about it, I think it might just be niche because I can't see a deck in which I want to play this. It's not a bad card. It's a 7/5 clock encore. It can't be bad. It's just not. I don't see a place for it.
I'm on the fence between playable and niche because, we already have the 1-0 Hibiki, which I feel is a far superior level 1 game, but this is Clock Encore in case you need some sort of way of keeping sustainable hand, I guess, with low stock investment.
Supplementary, yeah, I guess. I just don't know if I would ever run this. There's better 1-0s to run, and I mean, I'd rather run like bombs or something in the slots this is taking up.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. So we'll just move on then.
Sure. Hibiki Skinship, This card is a 2-1 level assist, so it pumps the characters in front by 500 times their level, and has one cost to tap a different music character to give a character one soul for the turn. Music character only.
That's so awkward, actually. I did not read it properly the first time. Pay 1, rest another music character to give a music character plus 1 soul.
It's not a terrible ability, but it's not one that I would see myself ever using often.
Well, okay, so the thing with level assist, right, is like almost every notable level assist has some other effect, right? And that's largely what you're going to be making the decision between other level assists and new level assists, basically.
Oh no, you can choose a card based on the power it gives, but you can't actually do that with this card because there is a better support for Hibiki, if I recall correctly.
The better support for Hibiki is a constant 15. It's a 2/2 support that is becomes a 2/1 because you get to take the top deck of your
Yeah,
top part of your
to
deck,
stop
switch
if
it
you've
off.
got enough cards.
If your entire field is basically Hibiki
That's
Yeah.
play.
I think that's better already.
Well, no, it's better in the Mana Hibiki deck, which is why you have to evaluate this as a good stuffs card. I'm not sure I want this card because if I'm playing a level support and I have any splash room whatsoever, I definitely want to play the first set Tsubasa.
Yeah, the first Tsubasa is still the strongest.
What's her second effect? Is that the event salvage?
She charges a marker, and that marker can be used as event stock.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Then
so it's basically it
that,
acts as a free level assist.
yeah,
because you're
that's.
running events.
I would already prefer running that over this largely because you are running at least, I'd imagine, 4 events and maybe an upward amount of 6 or 7. I can't really see myself thinking I want more than 7 events in this deck.
7 events is pretty overkill.
Yeah,
I like how the runner is the most expensive card in the set right now.
the runner's like
And
the most
it-
expensive card in most sets.
and it requires you to mill a music character.
Yeah, this runner has an incredibly high chance of failure versus other sets
Yeah.
of runners.
But,
and
I
it's still
think
like
it's literally
really
the highest in Weiss. Yeah.
Anyways, back on this card. I think the secondary effect is pretty awful, honestly.
I don't think so. I think it's fine.
I think it's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I think
You need to
really
give
a good way
soul,
to there's not really a good way to pump soul in Symphogear. There's probably the best way to do it, actually.
okay,
if you need
maybe
soul.
if you need to side attack with more Chris's to be more cheeky, this is probably the best way to do that.
Well, that's a game-winning play.
Like, you could put 2 of this in your back row and, like, full front row Chris and play the climax combo, but at the same time and the other Chris's are also 4 soul.
There
Yeah,
you
see,
go.
I honestly think that
Build.
this card isn't bad because it's not completely outclassed by the Tsubasa, but it's definitely not good because the Tsubasa is better than it.
I'm gonna give it a niche rating at best. I
I've
cannot.
got it's playable. Like, it's just playable, I think.
I think being outclassed by an older level assist puts it into niche, and the only
It's not actually outclassed because the colors don't necessarily mesh.
the colors don't necessarily mesh. I say that, but my niche condition was also largely based on tying it to a different color as well.
Yep.
The soul pump is cool. I don't usually like paying stock for soul pumps, so it's getting a niche for me.
You have very few sets that have like free soul pump.
And no,
I'm pretty sure no sets have free soul pump on. Well, I don't know what you mean by free, but
depends on what you mean by free. I mean, do you mean like as a startup effect? Because there are cards with free soul pump on auto
I know there's
effects.
an Idolmaster one, but anyway, we can talk about that later.
Yeah, of course. I would probably give this playable, just because it's perfectly fine within the colors as
Yeah.
long as you're playing a level 1 yellow game.
Yeah, if you're not playing blue, then this might be the best level assist. In fact, it probably is the best level assist, even though there are like a bunch in this set, aren't there?
I do believe there's one other.
Okay, must be confusing it. Sure, next card. Uh, this Hibiki support gives everything in front 500 power and 1 level, so it is better than your run-of-the-mill assist 500. But when this is placed from hand to the stage, check the top card of your library. If it is a climax card, this assist gets shuffled back into the library.
So the first thing that comes to mind is the Log Horizon Mariel.
Card is not like this. The first thing that comes to
No.
mind is just a really terrible card, like the Persona Elizabeth, or another card that kills itself when
I
you fail the reveal.
I
This is
just
this is like most of the other cards that are like 0/0 overstated, where it's just like if you happen to reveal X on attack, like it kills itself. This is almost the exact same
yeah,
thing.
I think it's definitely more similar to that.
I think it's pretty
Is
bad
is there any
because
top checking at all?
yeah,
There
there's
is
the
one card.
One.
There is
Mhm.
one card that top checks, and it was printed in this set.
I'm this
It's
card
a,
is super questionable to me.
My issue with this is that it doesn't actually scale well into the late game. You have better ways of giving things levels, and I feel like any deck that could run this is better off running, say, the Bond, the Apple's Bond, or maybe a 1/0 support that gives plus level. Because sure, you make your runner a level 1 3k, but does that really matter?
No.
Yeah, I just don't think the risk is worth it because sometimes you're just going to play this as a beta late game. It's going to be a climax on top, and then you don't get your third attack, and that's the absolute worst case scenario. But the fact that that is a possibility is not a risk you need to take because this card isn't that good.
Yeah, I think the payoff is disproportionately low relative to the risk you're taking with it.
It's not even a high risk; it's just not a high payoff.
I
yeah.
It's still true. My statement is not false. It's
You're
just
correct. I just want to emphasize this is not a great payoff for the chance of killing itself.
The ability is very relevant to the set because the set always wants to find a way to plus level for free. So
Yeah,
it's
but
a very
you have
relevant
plenty
ability.
of ways.
you do now have a free plus level support in blue though, which
But I'm talking about this specifically because this is colorless. This is a colorless option.
Yeah, yeah.
oh
This is
sure.
This is why this is
This
relevant.
this
But
is
the
the only
downside
colorless. Yeah.
the downside
Go
is
for
so
it.
staggeringly high. It's just like no, you would never really play this outside like a mono character deck.
Yeah.
This is a colorless, the only opponent turn plus level colorless card, right? The only level 0/1 that
Yes.
gives
Yes.
plus level on the opponent's turn.
Yes.
Because I know there are two Subasas that do, and a Chris from the first set, but this is the only level 0/1. So, but even so, like, if you want to plus level on something on the opponent's turn, you have an option for every deck. Like, even auto scorers can play the set 2 Subasa, because that one pumps all characters, not just music.
Yes, I do believe so.
Yes, I'm absolutely certain it is because I have a friend with an auto scorer deck.
So ultimately, I'm gonna give this card probably niche slash bad. I don't know if it's full on bad.
I have it as bad because I don't see there is a place. I don't see there being a place for this card at all. There's no deck that wants to have a big wall, a big unbombable wall at level 1 that also uh, that also can't that also can facilitate this in its game plan basically.
I'm gonna have to give it niche pad just because there is one deck that will use this, and that's a model character deck because this will be the best way for them to plus level without having to go find PRs that are going to be difficult to grab now.
Yeah, but I don't. I try not to reference difficulty of finding cards when it comes to talking about a card in the meta sense. I think you're right, but is the Mono Hibiki deck really going to be competitive? And does it even want this card? That's the real question.
I think the deck will definitely want this card, but you know whether I think also the deck in general because the set is relatively competitive. It keeps your deck simple. You don't have to worry about color.
I suppose that's fair enough. Well, I'm sticking by my rating.
Moving on.
Hibiki New Power. I haven't seen this in a while. It's a 0015 with character encore. When this attacks, choose a music character to gain 1 level and plus 1k for the turn.
Alright, cool. This is how you're supposed to get around level 1 bombs.
This seems
Or
entirely
level
worthless
0
to me.
bombs. It seems pretty bad to me too.
This is just a there's a 1/0 from the first set that is basically this card, but it doesn't give plus 1 level because it's a 1045 gives on attack another music character plus 1000 and it has encore. Doesn't it just like rips this card, lowered its level and gave it plus 1 level now.
So, okay, it's a strict upgrade, I guess, over that one in the sense that you're getting a level, I guess, but then it's also on a really small body. I still don't like this card.
I
I
think
can't see a purpose for this card.
It's not like level
Deck
0
space is
bombs are the
competitive.
scariest thing, right?
Just yeah, deck space is really competitive, and I can't see this. Oh, it pumps level at the wrong time.
yeah, it pumps level at the wrong time.
Like,
It's pumping level during
you'd rather
attack.
have something
Not
do it
relevant.
during your main phase, so
If
that's out
this
the window. Yeah.
if this gave like 15 on attack, or read closer to the 0/0 PR Mecon, like this card would be playable. But yeah, this card is just bad.
Yeah. I'm also
Yeah,
going
and
to
if
give
you
it a
want, if
bad.
you're running a deck that's so heavy on yellow that you want to play this, then you're probably running the apples combo, and 9k is pretty big already. 10k is not going to be that big a difference, except against like two
Rendered
decks,
deck.
neither of which is going to probably be in your meta.
I don't know,
I
man.
have to give
If
this card a bad because I can't see a place for it at all.
even against those two decks, playing a climax alone is enough to force them to have something. So, bad.
Hmm, more or less.
Moving on.
This card is the underrated card of the set. And by underrated, I mean no one has mentioned anything about it. People should be talking about it. It's great.
It's not a bad
So
card.
it's a 1/0. This is a 1/0 Hibiki and Miku preparing for a day nap. That doesn't look like they're preparing for a day nap at all.
It looks like they're
Uh,
stretching for swimming or something.
Yes,
I could
it's a
explain
global
why it
5.
makes sense, but let's not do
I'm
that.
sure it's something to do with the actual show. All of your music characters gain 500, so it's a global assist, which is nice, I guess. The important part about this is when it's placed from hand to stage, you check the top two cards, add one to your hand, ditch the other, and then discard a card. So
So
it's like an enhanced version of the
it's much more similar to the first version that was printed in Nisekoi EB. There was a Shitoge that did the same second effect at level 1 as well.
Koto.
So
Was Shohei also a support, or is it?
I don't remember what else the Shitoge did
That
there.
card is no. On attack, you give a level 3 or higher some amount of power. Level 3 or higher, level 2 or higher some amount of power.
Oh, well, that's like actually fine in context of the deck, but
Yeah, but that was like the second most playable level card in that set
Yeah.
for the meta deck.
this second effect is actually really good. There for a lot of reasons. One, although Weiss is in the game where hidden information besides stock is like super relevant, not your opponent not knowing what card you pick is pretty huge. Milling 2 is pretty huge, and free discard outlet is pretty huge. So it's basically just like doing everything you want it to do. It grabs climaxes sometimes if you, like, let's say you are running, for instance, the 1/0 Hibiki, that climax combos. You can grab the climax with this effect.
Or you could, you'd be running the apples and
Or-
you could ditch the bonds. Ditch the
Even
bond,
better, right? Like, you
on
can
the
play the
card.
apples, and the top two cards are apple and bond. You just, like, pick the apple, and the bond target goes into the grave. It's like, oh,
That's pretty wishful thinking, but
Winning.
it is a possibility.
or more practically, you can actually just discard the apple from your, or the bond target from
Correct.
your hand
You just-
if you want to just pay the stock to plus right there. Sometimes
Although
it might be.
I don't
worth
think that's
just-
going to be the case in most instances.
No, but it's just like the free hand filter is really good. It is objectively worse than draw 2 ditch 1, but draw 2 ditch 1's a level 3 effect. So
Of course.
Yeah, no. The only issue I see with this card is opportunity cost. What are you getting with play this? You don't really have that many slots for level 1 supports. So this isn't even a level 1 support. This is a put it in the front row, attack into empty, and give 500 to everything support.
yeah, I'm more inclined to play it that way. I think at level 1, because let's say your level 1 game is the 4 Hibikis. Depends on how many level 1s you want to run. Like, let's say 12 to 14 level 1s. That's pretty typical. I'd run like 2 of the 1/0 blue brainstormer that gives level, maybe 3. You could run a couple of this, 2 or 3 of this, and then you can fill the slots with like level 1 bombs, and then you're set. It is tricolor level 1, but you don't need the blue at level 1. You can wait till level 2 to get advantage from there. So
The only awkward part about that is that it would be one of your brainstormers locked away until far
Level
later in the game.
2, unless you don't need the bomb for some reason. So it's still questionable to do it that way, but it is a possibility.
This card is just great. I'm so high on it, I'm going to give it a good rating because I'm probably a bit biased, but I can't see this card ever being bad.
Playing with a Riki that basically does the second effect in Tulaveru, that effect is almost always paid off for me. It's still a good card. It's a good effect. I will also give it a good.
I think I'm biased, but I like this card a lot.
I mean, I've gotten a lot of climaxes that I needed to have through that effect, so, like,
You can also get events with this, which is important.
yes.
Very
Yeah,
important.
that's the strongest thing about this card. I feel is that it allows you to fish events out, which
Yeah.
is very helpful.
Extremely.
I want to give this a playable rating just because I feel it's awkward is that it eats up slots, and you have so many ways of this is to gain events and other cards and other ways in this set. And the thing is only really gets you that nothing else can would be climaxes in that sense, because all the events are bondable through other means.
Yeah, no, that's a very justifiable way to look at things. I I just think this card is really good. The opportunity cost is not so high as to make this anything less than good for me. And I think I would probably make room for this because it does actually push, it pushes your apples on defense to 7-5, which is quite big.
Yeah, it gets you to actual apples.
That
So, I still think it's good. I just like the effect. The second effect is always a player.
really, really idealistic way to look at things, but
Well,
yeah, good card.
moving on. Alchemy. I'm just going to go ahead and set niche.
Of
It's
course.
a 1/1 clock encore with a bunch of other alchemy characters.
I think I might actually put this as bad, but that might just be me.
It's a 1/1 7K clock. It's a vanilla clock encore on like a fake condition. You might just run it because
I think you're. Go on.
you might just
I-
run it
I
in alchemy because you need a clock encore.
I'm not sure you do because your level 1 game in alchemy will probably
Oh, wait.
be unbombable 8Ks.
Yeah, it's
Let's
8K,
go.
right?
Green blue, so
Okay, never mind. This might actually be bad.
yeah.
This might even be bad for like beam
These
bank.
are the only two yellow, like this and the zero in the same color, are the only two yellow alchemy cards. So unless you're running additional yellow non-alchemy cards in the deck, it's going to be very hard to even make this level requirement at 1 for the color.
Hmm.
This might be bad actually because I forgot about the blue. That okay?
I put this as I haven't explored the deck, but I'm gonna go on the limb and call this bad because I'm pretty sure the best level 1 game will be blue, with green supporting.
Alrighty, first bad card. We in there.
Yeah,
Moving on.
I think I'm too generous with things, but who cares?
Moving on. It's a
Hibiki, Training by the Beach Sides, a 2/1 3K counter. When you use the counter, you have to mill 3 of your opponent's library. That's not actually text. It's cute. It's cute, but it's not actually text.
Whenever I see this ability, it always seems like it will do something, and
It doesn't.
It actually doesn't do anything.
Yeah, like it seems like it does something really helpful, but it has never actually affected the game for me in a meaningful way
It's-
that I thought was going to happen.
It's the same thing as like milling in Magic, right? The odds of you milling any climax versus not climax card is going to be the same, no matter what.
I think the strongest argument for this card in any sense is always that the 3 cards it mills forces your opponent to refresh.
Yes, in that case, it's a pay one burn one, I guess.
Yeah, that's like the only time I would ever consider this card. But even then, it's like
But
one of
you
the
were going to
opportunities.
hit them. You were going to hit them anyway, and I doubt you were going to make them refresh with your series of attacks unless you're playing
Poor Moon
that
Man.
stupid 1/0 Charlotte combo, in which case this doesn't matter. So I don't think actually a relevant argument. Because how often are they going to
I
have
guess like
so
half
few
of it.
cards that this forces a refresh and then forces another refresh that they weren't going to have? I'm trying to say that I don't think this will ever force a refresh that they wouldn't already have had. Like, sure, you force a refresh, but then the next couple of turns, I don't think they're going to take another one damage from those three cards that they otherwise wouldn't have milled. It's not common enough for that to matter to me.
Yeah, so
Look, this card is playable. It's fine. Every
it's
railgun deck
playable.
plays this counter instead of the others because I'm still not why? Because the green one fixes colors better, I think. I mean, why would you ever?
You mean Railgun doesn't just run the 1-0 counter that gets square over time?
It runs both. It runs like three of the 1-0 counter and one of this counter because decks with gates run costed counters. Yeah, no, it's playable because it's playable.
It's playable as a vanilla counter. Like, if you want a vanilla
Yes.
2-1 counter, here you go.
This
It
card
breaks.
is actually okay. It screws with Index in particular because they're always controlling how much deck they have so they can use their scumbag refresh.
Yes, I heard Onodera was a good card.
Yeah, so this is why it would matter because this can't be taken into the opponent's account because three cards is a big difference and will change whether or not they will get to refresh, sorry. But that doesn't change its rating for me.
No, it doesn't.
No.
It doesn't suddenly make it good because of a specific matchup.
Hmm.
So, playable. Playable's vanilla counter. I'm sure there are other counters, 2-1 counters that have like some utility effects that might be worth playing over this, but
There certainly are.
Yeah.
moving on. I don't even know if I want to like leave ratings up for like the 0-0 brigade that's inevitably happening.
Bushiroad is so creative these days. This is a 0025.
Okay,
It
I'm not even putting up ratings for the next three cards. They're all 0-0 beaters.
gets 2k. It, it gains 2k on your turn if it's in the slot, and it reverts to being a 2/5 on the opponent's turn. Why?
To spite you, I don't know. Not a good card.
I'm not sure why
Most people,
this and like the similar cards are
most people play cards on the side unconsciously.
Yes. So cards like this and or like the 0-0 Sasami from like Little Busters, I think it was a refrain.
It's the green one, yeah.
Yeah, the green one has to be like it's one of the only
In the
green
center
beaters
row.
besides the 0-0 Haruka. And it's like tragically has to be in the center slot to do anything.
Anything, yeah. Otherwise, just a 2/5.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this card is not good because it has conditions, and even when you
Fulfill the
even when you
conditions.
fulfill those conditions, it's a 2/5 on the opponent's turn. So this is straight up bad. It's worse than the runner.
I'm not even
Like
putting.
every yellow level 0 beta is competing with a runner. How do you fight that opportunity cost? You can't.
I'm not gonna even put any ratings for these 0-0s
Okay.
because they're consecutive and they're all bad.
Well, no, the
Yes.
next one is the next one is niche.
Oh, okay, yes. The next one has play of.
It's one of the better versions of
No,
the.
it only assigns to himself.
Yeah, no, it comes to play. It's a 4K. That's fine.
Sure, I guess. Why won't you just
Yeah.
run a level 0 bomb?
Well, it does mean there's
Well.
at least 3 yellow cards in the Alchemy deck. I forgot this card existed.
This is alchemy.
It's
I forgot.
It's fine.
It is
Yeah,
an
it's
alchemy
al-
trait.
Yeah, it's fine. Well, it's niche. Well, nothing more to say.
Okay, moving on because like this is not even actually relevant for most decks.
This next Miku is actually pretty good. It's a 0/0 4K. If your opponent has 3 or more climax cards in the waiting room, press this. And as I was reading that, I realized it's not okay at all. What the hell did I just say?
Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm talking about.
Damn it. I have to write things.
That is
God damn it.
absolute garbage. Never mind me. Any card that is forced to rest itself with any chance at all in the late game as a level 0 beta with no other function is bad.
Yes.
I don't know how I thought that was playable. I guess it's always just a conditionless 4K early on, unless your opponent is so out of luck that.
I'm just switching the image.
Good.
We're done with this.
It's a bad card. This is the silly,
Silly.
the Sunbucker thing from this set, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
Terashima Cooking Practice. It's a 1045. It gains 1k. Oh no, it gains 1 level and 3/5, so it becomes a 8k
Hand Encore.
level 2 on your turn only with Hand Encore. If you have the other two characters, which we're going to cover next, we can evaluate them as a whole. Next card is Ando Cooking Practice. It's a 105k, gains 2k with the other two pieces on the field.
Yep,
And
but
the
that
last
one's
one,
on both turns.
yeah, this one is 7k, so that's fine. But you need to have the 1045 as well.
You
So,
need to have
yeah.
all of them.
Yeah, so the last card is Itaba Cooking Practice, 114k. Gives all of your other two pieces 1k power, always.
Cool. Yeah, I wouldn't
It
run
doesn't
this
take
because that's a lot of card slots.
Its opportunity cost is too high for a mediocre payoff.
Yes.
Bad cards.
It's not. They're not even bad. They're niche. Like if
They're-
the payoff isn't so bad that it's. just-
They're... I don't think it's worth dedicating 9+ slots to.
No, that is true. But the payoff isn't horrible. It's just
The
not
payoff is an 8k level 2 on your own turn.
good. No, the payoff is.
Well, actually, the payoff is actually 108ks on both turns, but
Yeah, that's the payoff.
Yeah,
but
that's the payoff.
it's
that's-
not actually 1-0 because you paid one.
you paid
for the
one for the back row.
One
It's
for it.
like... It's not even like bondable, and then your hand just suddenly vanishes if your opponent runs level 1 bombs.
That's a problem. Yes.
Yes.
Um,
Drawing all three cards together in a timely manner for level 1 is going to be very difficult.
The irony is also that, like, we now have the first ever cost 0 stock bomb.
cost 0 clock bomb. You mean?
Yeah. Cost
Clock
0
bomb, sorry. Worse, technically, because you can have 0 clock more likely than you're going to have 0 stock.
Look, if you're playing a deck with these characters against a deck running that 1-0 noise, I think there's a bigger problem than whether or not this card is competitively
might need to be
viable.
more competitive, quote unquote.
Yeah, no, let's move on.
Moving on.
This is a 2-1 with a climax combo with, I think it's a 2k1 soul. No, it's a yellow stock soul. It's a 2-1 7k. Gains 500 power for every other music character, so it's 9k base. And when it attacks, if you have the stock soul, you get to bounce one of your opponent's characters.
Cool. Bounce combos are
So-
fun.
So not only are bounce combos worse because hexproof stuff is getting more and more popular, but this is a 2-1 that forces you to run a climax which is mostly bad because of opportunity cost. Like, you have other climax combos you want to run.
Yeah. Also, I generally don't like 2-1s.
I could see running the stock soul as a stock soul because stock soul, along with some other level 3 climax combo of your choosing. Because if you're not running the 1-0 Kokomi clone or Mikan clone or whatever, then you do have some free climax slots, but I don't like 2 soul triggers unless they are specifically helping me win the game, like the Girlfriend Beta one does.
I just don't like this card very much.
Yeah, the card itself is not that good. I'd make an argument for the stock
Yeah.
soul, but not for the card.
The only time I ever feel like bounce combos are really worth it is if you get them in early enough within the game, such as like the 1-0 one into Capo.
Yeah, the Capo, LB, Charlotte, they've all got 1-0 bounce combos. and they're all
Charlotte
fun.
is okay too. I mean, I still really like the not the Tulip, the Nisekoi bounce combo, but that's because he bounces 2 characters.
Yeah, that is a bit different than bouncing one.
It's pretty different. I mean, you pay for it, but like, bounce 2. Your opponent pays for it too.
Yeah,
so
that card's a bit different, but I don't even know if I want to run Wind. I'd rather run 2k1 Soul, or I'd rather run Stock Soul in that deck.
Well,
It's just opportunity cost, that's the main problem.
Yep. That is.
So this card is niche. It's niche because of opportunity cost. We also have one more yellow card before we finish.
Yep, it's the Ignite module, 1 for 3 of the colors.
Yeah, so this one is a 1-1. Check the top 4 cards, add 1 music character to hand, and then the rest go to the waiting room, and then choose a character to gain 2k for the turn. This goes to memory.
There are a few
this
more
is
events.
the-
Yes.
This is the, I think, second best Ignite module.
There's 3 of them. Second
Yeah.
best means second worst.
Yes, it's,
Well, half full, half empty.
I-
I'm an optimist.
I really wish this had the punch symbol on it. I would even have like only like 1K or like 500 power or something. I suppose
If
just
Dragon Stream doesn't get a punch, this doesn't get a punch.
Dragon Stream gets the pump 4K.
Dragon Stream doesn't have a punch, therefore it's worthless.
What? You and I both know I've made some people very sad with that card.
Well, that card sucks because it stops them from reversing you, and you want them to reverse you to live the dream.
Well, living the
Anyway.
dream with Devil Survivors.
This card is niche because if I run any Ignite module, it'll be the red one.
Yeah, the red one is
Yeah.
definitely the Ignite module choice for me as well.
This
And-
card mills, which is cute, I guess.
I mean, you do get the Jinketsu effect, so that's cool.
I guess.
It doesn't actually, like, replace itself because you have to... Oh no, you do get to keep it. So it replaces itself and you pump a card for the turn. That said, like, your characters are pretty big on your own turn. I don't think that 2K pump was worth it at all. Like, if this was actually just Junketsu, I'd be more inclined to run it.
the only way this Ignite module is like even semblance of worth is if like you're running some combination deck of like maybe yellow green and you need to pump the Kirika for some reason. Like
If you're not running red, is what you're saying.
yeah, that is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Moving on then.
I just wish this card was like a 1-0 and didn't get power. If this was just
Yeah,
like
if it was actually just Junketsu, like, I'm a lot happier with the card.
What I'd like to ask is, why would I run this when I can just brainstorm with the 00G set Hibiki? That would be better in the majority, not majority, in at least 50% of the situations. Maybe more, and that's also a repeatable brainstorm.
what Biki's brainstorm is not repeatable. It's a tap.
Oh, I mean, you can use it the next turn.
Oh, okay. So like, whoa.
No.
Moving on from Ignite module, I think it takes the same slot as the other Ignite modules. You're probably not running more than 2 of this in your deck anyways, and the red one is the best one.
Yeah, that's
And
the main reason. I
That
can't
covers
rate this.
basically everything there.
Oh,
Heyo,
it's the
this card
Gunker
is good.
event. So this card is good. It's a 2/1. Choose a level 2 or higher Hibiki card from your field, bounce it to hand, and put a card with Hibiki in its name from your hand onto the battlefield in its slot.
Alright, this card is
In
cheeky
any
as hell.
slot, sorry. This card is great. It's kind of hard to evaluate until you've thought about what it does, but once you do that, you realize what it does is you pay 1 to get a level 3's effects, because you're still going -1 when you play this card.
Yeah, you're still playing the event, that's the loss.
Yeah, you play the event, you lose that event. You might be able to bond it back, but that's another stock you're using. What you're really doing is you're getting the common play effects of a level 3, and you're possibly getting a level 3 at level 2.
Yep. I actually think this is a lot more fun and effective at level 3.
It's good because at level 2 you get to advance summon, and at level 3 you get to loop your level 3's effects, which is really good.
Yeah, you do get to pay 1 stock and 1 card functionally to repeat the effect, because the ordering of the effects means that you bounce it to your hand and then you put it into play because you don't select targets until resolution. So.
I think this is the best advanced summon, like I've been saying over and over. You guys might not agree, but I think the combination of a hexproof 11k and a heal as your options are just really good.
Yeah, I think out of the 4, this is probably the best.
Yeah, I think this is the best as well. I don't know. I guess this also gets the meta rating in the sense that this is like one of the big gimmicks for Symphogear's endgame, and it's a really...
Symphogear's whole set purpose was to be, events, and this is basically like the...
This is like a pretty...
form of that.
This is a pretty solid gimmick, I'm gonna be honest.
This is erasing all the work that original and G set did, and just throwing it out the window because this is just better.
Well, the unfortunate thing is that, Symphogear's supposed to be a set around events, and then all the events were very subpar in the first 2 sets, so you were, very much questioning why Bushiroad was doing that.
More or less. Speaking of subpar events,
Oh boy.
so that's not fruit salad like people keep saying, that's beef stroganoff. You can see the beef, you can see the onions. 3/3 event, Choose up to 3 of your opponent's characters and return them to hand.
I'm not used to my tomatoes being in beef stroganoff. I'm used to mushrooms and onions and beef.
Look, they're in
Yeah.
Japan. They're in Japan. Have you seen what
Yes.
Japan's done?
I don't
Yeah.
know if this is a good or a bad thing.
The tomatoes throw me off so much, where I just can't help but just look at this and think of some sort of like weird like
No,
cereal.
no, because it's definitely like a cream being added to a pot,
Yeah.
right? So like it has to be some sort of like cream-based food, right?
Well, you
And
can put cream in a lot of things. Like for example, you put like coconut cream into a curry, and you'd be fine with that, right?
Of course.
it's more of a stew at that point, but like this doesn't scream beef stroganoff so much as stew to me because like tomatoes, onions, beef, and mushrooms, that sounds like a stew, not stroganoff.
Well, stroganoff refers to the sauce, right?
It's a type of sauce, yes.
The sauce is based on like sour cream or cream, isn't it?
I'm not sure. I'm not an expert on cooking.
I'm pretty sure it's cream.
You're making me look this up.
Okay, you go do that. I don't think tomato is a part of it, though. You're correct. Although you can definitely garnish it with like tomato and carrots.
Okay,
For the
Wikipedia.
record, guys, you know we're not talking about this event because it's not a very relevant event right now.
Wikipedia, we got there.
What the
Russian
hell did you
dish.
bounce at level 3?
They're yummies.
Well, you can bounce the American Nats winner's yummies because his
Oh, yes,
aunt
you
takes
can.
truth. But he'll just play them again, draw 2, drop 1, and then you die because he drew the second climax. More importantly, keep reading that Wikipedia article.
All right, it's a Russian dish. I didn't know it was Russian. That's news to
Oh,
me.
okay. So, as if Stroganoff didn't tip you off. That's like an Eastern European name if I ever heard it.
Sure, but I'm used to it being spelled with F's, not V's. So like,
You Americans.
anyways, served in a sauce with smetana. I can't pronounce things. Sour cream.
Yeah, see, sour cream based. So
It
the
is
cream
sour
being
cream
added
based.
is fine, but the
I
the
don't see any
tomatoes-
tomatoes in any images of beef stroganoff. I see carrots. I see broccoli.
Look, I'm sure you can add it as a garnish. Tomato is just a basic sweetener to a lot of things.
That's tomatoes on the side, not in the stroganoff.
You're definitely right because the tomatoes are definitely in there, and they're meant to be cooked with the dish. And there's no way those are anything but tomatoes.
This is a stroganoff burger.
Yeah.
None of you
Oh.
guys can see this, but like, look it up. It's pretty incredible, actually.
So you've seen the series, right? What
Yes.
scene is this from?
There is an entire episode, well, part of an episode dedicated to a song and dance number where all the students are singing while cooking in their cooking class, and they're making beef stroganoff, and the song is about beef stroganoff.
Dear Jesus.
That is why
Anyways.
the 3 other characters are all part of that, like, lead up to this
Oh,
event.
okay. So that's what the... Okay, okay.
Wasn't this like a tragic anime where Kanade gets wrecked in the first season and there's loss and Gurren Lagann sub-themes everywhere?
The Symphogear series in general has some incredibly tragic and dark parts of its story completely made irrelevant by just the poor pacing and overall, uses of its universe.
It's very difficult to do with a multi-season series, though, especially one where you've crammed in a song about beef stroganoff.
I did find a stroganoff with tomatoes in it, but it's blackened shrimp stroganoff and not beef stroganoff.
By the way, just so you guys know, this is Top Tier Tier's set review of Symphogear GX, and we will be right back with Green at some point in time.
Oh, need to close that.